Well, it's Friday. Friday. So we are gonna do not necessarily one of our fireside chat episodes, our emotional check-in episodes, but we're just kind of gonna back and forth a little bit, go over some of the debates that we have been having off script. I think most people know that we don't really have a script on this episode. We kind of jump off a cliff and build our wings on the way down.
Yeah,
Doesn't that sound?
I agree. I just think
We
it
wing
flows
it.
better. Yeah,
I don't like to work from a script. I like to just let things
yeah.
express as they occur to me, and hopefully people enjoy that. I mean, I have friends who like listening to me talk. I don't know why, but something about it must be appealing because people aren't kicking me out the door left, right, and center. So hopefully you all enjoy it. If you do, let us know in the comments. If you don't, let us know in the comments. The moral of the story is hit the comments.
Cheers.
But so we were talking before we started the episode about how Disney has been making live adaptations of basically all their classic cartoons,
Yeah,
end to end and corner to corner. But to call the Lion King's live action is a little bit of a misnomer because every animal in those movies is computer generated. They just do a good job of making it
flow.
flow, look nice, whatever you want to call it. It's not in clinical terms, to my way of thinking, a live action movie.
Right.
But Mulan, Lilo and Stitch, The Little Mermaid, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin. I don't know what's on their chopping block, but they have done live action on so many of their animated films.
Right.
And there is an argument, I think, and tell me whether or not you agree, that there are so few original ideas anymore, and people aren't willing to take chances on unproven material, which is why everything is an adaptation
Right.
of some kind, or a sequel of some kind, or a reimagining, or some sort of legacy material.
Right.
Whatever that medium might be.
Yeah.
Amazon's developing a God of War franchise
I seen that.
based on the current iteration of the games, Ragnarok quite specifically.
Okay. Nice.
They've cast Kratos, Lady Sif, Heimdall,
I seen the Kratos. Who is that?
I don't know what the guy's name is. I'm honestly surprised that they did not get Christopher Judge to be Kratos, because he's taken it over the past two games, and it's like, why not get him back?
Yeah.
But maybe, I don't know how old the guy is, and God knows I've heard he's had health problems, so maybe he's just not up for the demand.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm way off on what the decision was, but I'm thinking get Christopher Judge, like he
Solid enough at it. Yeah.
yeah. But they've cast three of the characters, and there's nothing really about that I want to talk about than to use it as an example of how anymore it's like they don't want to take chances on unproven ideas, so they just recycle the old material, whatever it might be.
Well, yeah, but we're also in a very huge nostalgic day and age. Everybody wants everything remastered. Everybody wants everything upscaled and redone.
We want to relive the glory days.
Yeah, I want it to be 2006 with 2026 graphics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's, the modding community does such a good job of making that even possible with all the mods that you can get for games.
Just the simple proof of concepts that most of these guys are doing from their computers.
Yeah.
And making such a showroom polish.
Just like a video from an Unreal Engine standpoint when that wasn't out, when the video or the initial idea was released. It's crazy that you can even incorporate that.
Oh, yeah.
But before we get too far off of it, you were talking about live action movies. Is there any of them that you really felt was great or better than the animated? No, I haven't seen all of them.
I haven't seen a lot of them. One that I saw Beauty and the Beast with Emma Watson.
Yeah.
And I saw Aladdin with
Will Smith.
And
it's funny which name we picked to remember the movie by. You know what I mean?
I mean, Naomi Scott is in Aladdin, and I know her because she was in the Charlie's Angels reboot that came out, and she was also in the Power Rangers movie. She played Kimberly the Pinker. She's, all due respect to my fiance, that girl is good looking. She's attractive.
Yeah. All right.
So, I remember her being in the movie, and I'd say Emma Watson, from Beauty and the Beast, because she's, in a post Harry Potter world,
Right.
She's a bigger name than most of the other, like she's the biggest face in the movie that's not hidden behind something else.
Yeah.
Like Dan Stevens plays the Beast, the Prince, whatever you prefer, but you really don't get to see him
play his role because he's behind the Beast.
Yeah. And all the other actors are, they're the voices of the creatures or, the objects in the castle until they are turned human again.
Right.
And then they're only physically in the movie for
the last 10 minutes.
Maybe
not even.
Maybe 45 seconds.
Yeah. I was going to say they do I guess they have the scenes at the very beginning before they turn into stuff. You got, at least in the live action one, they do this past thing
if they do, I don't remember it.
Or maybe it's in the middle where they're telling her the story, his story, where they show clips of how it was before.
Well, one of them they really hooked me. Like I really did the whole. I leaned forward in my seat while we were because it was just such an engaged. And it's like all the magic is starting to wear off, so everybody is basically solidifying and becoming a candelabra and becoming a clock and everything else and the cup, the little boy that's a cup. I can't remember what his name is.
Chip.
Chip is just desperate to get to his mother, and he jumps, he basically leaps out a window or something like that, and he's falling to his destruction.
Yeah.
And, and just a last ditch effort on his part, the coat rack catches him as he's falling and sets him on the ground before he also
becomes inanimate.
I'm like,
yeah, he get you.
I'm gonna get you, girl. And I'm not saying every movie has that, but thank you for getting me there, because that brings up something else we were talking about before we started the episode. And it's like, all right, well, what's a moment in it like that? Even if it's not a movie you were just die hard, I love this movie. There's moments in movies out there where I'm like, okay, that was a real moment. That is a moment that I engaged with or invested in, and
felt something about.
Yeah.
He connected to me through the screen, if you will. Yeah.
So what are moments like that for you? And the one that I brought up earlier, I like the movie Chicken Little, the animated movie that Disney made. So this isn't a great example of what I was just saying, where it's like, okay, well, what's a movie I don't even like? I'd have to go back through the Rolodex and find that one, but just to use the moment we were talking about earlier, like in Chicken Little, at the end of the, he's just kind of butting heads with his dad over the fact that he doesn't listen to him, he doesn't believe in him. He's proud of him when he wins a baseball game, but when he keeps telling everybody the sky fell, he's like, kid, what do you do? And so they finally have this emotional heart to heart about that, and he's like, you were proud of me, and then you're ashamed of me, and he basically does not feel loved or respected by his father. And because Dad's like, well, your mother she was better at this stuff, and I knew the quote by heart for a while, but in my my autumn years, things have slipped. I am a buttercup in autumn. And so anyway, what he says is to so many effective words. He says, what you need to know is that I love you no matter what. And I'm sorry if I ever made you feel like that was something that you had to earn. And that means a lot to me. And I suppose it will surprise no one, new viewers, old viewers, people who know me, people who don't, that my relationship with my father is highly important to me. Surprise, spoiler alert. So surprise, like moments like that, father-son moments, father moments in movies.
Yeah. Just like the comic book one we talked about where it was Batman and Superman talking. No. Yeah. Wasn't it? No.
Yeah, it was from the Smallville comic book.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Context there, Smallville season 11, the comic book, the storyline where Superman meets Batman. Get all the way to the end of this. Basically, you get all the way to the end of the story. The conflict is resolved, and they're standing there talking, and Superman Clark understands that Bruce Wayne has spent his whole life basically trying to solve his parents' murder, and mourn the loss even many years later, and their conversation is once again so much the effect of, well, what's your relationship with your parents? Right. And Bruce Wayne is like, well, what I remember about my mother is that she was always kind, and she wore pearls. And Superman Clark is like, well, what about your father? And he's just like, he was a giant. And the panel is, you see Thomas Wayne holding young Bruce Wayne over his head like this. And that's kind of the caption. He was a giant. And right. Clark is like, all fathers are. And my daddy is also a giant. So I recognize something there. Right. I can see truth there. And anyway, stuff like that always manages to hit me, and it doesn't seem to stop, because not you and I, Skylar and I went to see Thunderbolts in theaters, and unexpectedly there is a Daddy, I Need You moment in that movie as well.
Gotcha.
And Skylar laughs at me after we get out of the movie, and I was, he's like, well, what was your favorite scene? And he knows what I'm probably gonna say, and
right.
he's laughing at me a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, I know. I saw it hit you. It was really cute." Because I'm fighting back tears
Yeah.
during the scene in the movie. Like, I am trying not to lose my mind.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten grabbed by this scene in this movie.
Right.
So what's something like that for you? Can you draw anything out of the fog, or is it all?
And I've been sitting here speculating ever since you got back on the topic, and I can't come up with a single scene from any movie that's got me all excited or anything like that. So
Hit you right in the feels?
I'm sure I've had, you know what I mean, scenes that's done that. It's not hitting
Right
me
at the top of the...
Yeah, it's probably some movie I seen 8 years ago once.
Right at the top of the frying pan. I mean, there's any several thousand like that.
Right.
And it's not always a big thing. It's not always some massive emotional revelation. It's just some small idle exchange where it's like, well.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
So, Thunderbolts is one example, and Chicken Little is one example, and there are a million, and those are a couple of my favorites. And I'm sure I will share 1,000 more. We will share 1,000 more once Chris comes out from underneath the fog and remembers he's seen more movies than he sometimes thinks he has.
It's true. For next episode.
Later, rabbit hole.
Maybe.
I wanted to tell this story because I talked about my father, and I tell this story all the time. And I think I've actually talked about this once before. At least I opened the story, but I don't think I actually told it.
Okay.
Because if you'll recall one of the console wars episodes where I mentioned that I basically got rid of all my Xbox stuff, all my 360 stuff.
Yeah.
And Batman Arkham City was getting ready to come out, and working where I did, I was making nothing, certainly not enough to go out and buy a brand new $60 game. And so being fed up with Xbox at the time, I was like, well, I'm getting rid of all my Xbox crap, and I'm going to use that store credit to buy Arkham City with, because that is a bigger deal. I would rather have Arkham City than fuss around with Microsoft junk that
they won't even support.
And I bombed out at GameStop, and they offered me basically a pittance for all the stuff that I was taking in there. And I mean, probably 10 or 12 games, controllers, the system itself, the hard drive. And, I don't know what their refurbish process is over there. Well, like, even if it's crap, we'll take it anyway, and we can send it out to our team and resell it however it worked.
Whatever they do. Yeah.
And so I bombed out.
Right.
And I came home rather disappointed. And the dinner table conversation was, well, how did it go over? Daddy and I are talking, well, how'd it go over at GameStop? Did you get anything for all that stuff? He said, no, not really. All right. And then he asked me at the time, he was like, well, I might need some help tomorrow with the kids because Grandpa and I are going to go out of town and try to buy a car, because that's what they used to do back when Grandpa was around. They'd get in the car and they'd just start to, because Grandpa loved to buy, sell, trade cars.
Yeah.
That was his hobby.
Yeah.
He had over 100 by the time he was done.
Where'd he store them?
I mean, they were just in the driveway.
Oh, but he's had 100 cars through his lifetime.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Lifetime, he's had 100 cars.
With you. I thought you were saying he passed away with ownership of 100 cars.
No.
And I'm like, good Lord.
He'd have one, he'd keep it until the novelty wore off, and then he'd trade it in on something else.
Yeah.
And that was their thing that they did.
Right.
Towards the end of his life, and they were both retired, was that they went out and they
car shopped. I could kind of tell when we had lunch with your dad last time. I was like, I could just tell by the way he was talking about how many vehicles he and your father had gotten. I was like, oh yeah, this is just like a weekend activity.
Oh yeah. and so they were going to go to, I think they ended up going to Michigan this particular day, and they were gone all day, and he asked me if I would help out and take care of the boys while they were out of town.
Right.
And I mean, they're my nephews, Clinton, Austin. I love you both. So, I mean, I didn't have anything better going on, and it's like, well, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So I watched those two knuckleheads while they went out and tried to buy a car. Well, when they got home, there wasn't anything new in the garage. And I was like, well, how'd your adventure go? He's like, well, we didn't end up getting the car. Sorry. So then, I don't remember exactly how long later, maybe a couple days, whatever it was. Get in the car, we'd go to supper, and usually after we would go to supper on the way back home, we had to stop at Meijer, we had to stop at Walmart and get a couple of things. Well, it turned in, it always ended up turning into like a half hour, 45-minute trip.
Yeah.
To get a couple of things.
Yep.
And while they're doing whatever shopping it was we were there for, I went back to the Ford department, which is what Meijer calls their electronics department, back when they had a massive game cage.
Yeah. Of
everything that was out and fresh and frosty at the time. And I'm just standing there kind of staring longingly at a copy of Arkham City, like,
can I sell a kidney? Is that legal?
Do you remember when they used to say that you could sell your testicles for $10,000 a piece?
Yeah.
Like they give you like what do you call it, a prosthetic or a replacement, so you weren't imbalanced afterwards. But
yeah,
I'm thinking, I'm not gonna have any kids, right?
Yeah.
Like, my dating life is circling the drain anyway. What's the harm?
Who needs both? Yeah.
But I didn't have enough money to clear launch there, and I'm just like, So my mother comes around, and Pops is, like a foot and a half behind her or something like that. She's like, well, you ready to go? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to go. So she and I start walking towards the front of the store. Pops is like, well, I'll be right behind you. Hang on. Give me a minute. I'll be along. Get out to the car. Drive back home. Go into my room. I'm sitting, I sit down on my floor, and I'm just kind of staring. Like, I'm in a real annoyed and depressed state.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you didn't even make enough to get the game selling all the Xbox stuff, did you?
No.
Yeah, that would bother me.
I didn't clear it from my paycheck. I didn't clear it from getting stuff for all that Xbox crap. Like, I was just not going to be able to put my hands on that game inside a launch week.
Right.
And I was pretty bummed out about it. Well, anyway, I'm sitting in my bedroom, and all of a sudden Pops walks in, and he drops a Meijer sack in my lap. And I'm like, what's this? And I open it up, and I will be switched. There's a brand new copy of Batman Arkham City in that sack. And my flabber's done been gasted. Okay. And I'm like, what the hell? What's this for? And Daddy's just like, he offers me no words. He's just it's just kind of because it's Thursday kind of thing.
Yep.
And it's just like, and I'm dumbstruck, and I think I said something to the effect, well, you didn't have to do that.
Right.
And without missing a beat, he's like, you didn't have to watch the kids so that your grandpa and I could go car shopping the other day. That is the kind of man my father is.
Good man.
And those are the stories that I will always tell. Best I know. For the position he has to hold dealing with me. You can't.
He's put up with you your whole life.
For my mother too.
Those poor souls.
I've said it before. If I could imagine better folks than the ones I have, my imagination would let me down before they did.
Right.
And my mother's done similar things. She's done wilder things. She's made her proofs too, and it's not like I tell a story about him and then forget that I also have a mother who loves me as well. I don't want that to be the impression here. But and people wonder why I get choked up during the whole good dad moments in movies, and it's like I've done nothing but live in an ocean of them.
Right.
My whole life up to whatever point it is. So I won't brook no shame about it.
Right. That's fair.
Let's see if this is still hot or not. It's been sitting here for a minute.
So you brought up a little bit of Ed, and Eddy before we started the episode, which I just seen a thing today that said Ed is the only Fortnite skin, or the only skin that's going to be released in Fortnite.
That's a wasted opportunity.
Well, and that blows my mind because while I may not play Fortnite all the time, like I'm on there to check skins pretty consistently and stuff, and it's like, they did Avatar: The Last Airbender. You could get just about every main storyline character for that. Same thing with
I wonder if that's if they're just starting with Ed and they'll eventually hit all three of them, or if it's just gonna be Ed.
No, because I'm telling you, there's so far they could go with that. Like if they would not only add them but add the extra characters, like was it Johnny that had Plank?
Yeah, Johnny 2x4.
You could do Johnny, genius. You could do Johnny and Plank can be like the pickaxe or something like that, and the Jawbreaker is the backpack, because you have like backpacks, outfits, and then like a glider, the thing you come in on. So I'm sure you can come up with something creative that they flew in an episode.
He could, they could even do costume changes between them, and if it's, if you choose Johnny, then you can like do a costume change, and all of a sudden you're Captain Melonhead.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Because that was his superhero identity that he put on sometimes.
They do stuff like that where like Goku will you can make him go Super Saiyan in the middle of battle. There's another character from another movie I can't think of, but they just did a thing for it a couple years back, and same thing. You push a button and you transform into the hero version.
Well, I brought up Ed, and Eddy because there was just so much potential for things to talk about, and the Rolodex is losing cards these days. So there were a lot of things that I would have loved to just sat here and
carried on with
that I didn't think of while we were recording, and I was actually wrong. And I do need to make this correction: they are not the Wee Rangers; they're called the Urban Rangers, and like Plank is like low enough on the totem pole because he's a piece of wood. He's low enough on the totem.
How dare you?
He's low enough on the chain that he is what they call a wee roach.
Okay.
So that's the whole operation.
That was the group thing that they were in together. Okay.
And that's, Rolf was the troop leader, and then it was Jimmy and Johnny, and then Plank, and Eddy thought that their uniforms were just flight model badass, and he wanted desperately to be in the Urban Rangers, and so the three Eds try out, and of course everything they do turns to disaster, and Ross finally had it, and he like drums them out of the initiation process, and of course there's a badge, every time it turns around there's a badge for something that they're doing, and Eddie's just like, and after they're like, well, you can't be an Urban Ranger. He hates them. He can't stand them, and every opportunity where it's like, okay, the kids are being Urban Rangers for the episode, he has to work against them somehow. He has to terrorize them while they're out on a camping trip in the woods or whatever it is.
Yeah. Whatever Acme sponsored Looney Tune activity he's about to partake in with them.
Speaking of that, I am excited for the Coyote versus Acme movie that's going to come out, I think, this year.
Really? I didn't even hear anything about that one yet.
Well, basically the idea, because Wile E. Coyote has been shopping through Acme for all of his gadgets that he tries to hunt down the Roadrunner with, and they always manage to do nothing but flatten him.
Yeah.
And so he's, because he's been nothing but steamrolled for
decades.
Almost
a century.
He finally decides to sue Acme for their
faulty
products. It's like, that's a pretty genius idea, actually, for a movie. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
But
you've been winding us up for a long time to do that.
But I made mention last time of the fact that at least between Double D and between the three Eds, they all break the fourth wall. They all recognize the fact that they are cartoon characters.
Right.
Although it is funny because at one point Ed drops an anvil off the top of their makeshift city roof, and he drops an anvil off of the top of it, and Eddy freaks out a little bit, and he's like, Ed, be careful, this ain't a cartoon.
Yeah.
It's like, but just
it's funny how,
just because it fits the comedy of the scene.
Right.
And I remembered after the fact that Kevin has also done it too, because he's talking to Rolf at one point, and Rolf is just on one in his old world son of a goat, whatever he says, and Kevin is just staring after him like, this show needs subtitles.
Even Kevin knew.
Kevin knew, right there, and I'd have to, and I had, it's a perfect excuse to go back and watch the show again, which I would do anyway.
Yeah, we started it. It's been about a year ago.
I think we tried to start watching like the first season, and we didn't get very far before game night was over.
Yeah.
Real quick reminder that we will be streaming our playthrough on Uncharted tomorrow. I don't know what technically it will look like yet. Chris and I are still trying to iron out the details on how we want to manage that, whether we're going to have an open mic, whether we're just going to let people kind of type in and try to respond that way, but we will be up tomorrow on YouTube streaming our playthrough on Uncharted. Come
Have
watch.
Say what's up.
Hopefully you'll say a little more. We need the comments. Hit the comments. Watch out for it. And be on the lookout for that. We'll try to play as far as we can. We like to make sure that we have our game nights to enjoy, and let that be time for Chris and I to keep our friendship dialed in and do something that is ours without turning it into this. Well, we're trying to make our fortune off of being YouTubers and influencers and social media personalities. But this is something we're going to try out and see if we enjoy it, so stay tuned.
I mean, we're already playing the games. We might as well stream them. It's not like it takes a whole lot of demand to keep up with the chat if it really comes down to it, so...
Well, I can't do two things at once, so if we're, you got to handle the chat if I'm going to play.
That's fair. That's fair. I've seen you do one thing, and you barely do that.
Ow. I do one thing, I do it very well, and then I move on. MASH, Charles Emerson Winchester. But other characters, because I made a point that, like, all the characters on the show, Ed, and Eddy, that, they each kind of have their own little quirks, their own, obviously their own personality.
Right.
And like I hate Kevin, because it's not until like the last 5 minutes of the movie that he has any sense of humanity, or because he's just the neighborhood bully.
You're right.
But Jimmy is like this soft, cuddly, almost effeminate little boy child.
Yeah.
With diaper rash issues, and I want my dolly.
Yeah.
And one episode that's notable to me because of him is like he in his childlike state he astutes that unicorns are real, that magic is real, the tooth fairy is real. He's very, very innocent.
Right.
I guess is the word I'm looking for here. Well, Eddie's determined to get a buck off of him, so he makes fairy tale land or whatever it is. Well, the whole thing, because everything they make is made with cardboard and the things they found in the dumpster are sewed together. It all comes apart as soon as Jimmy starts messing around with any of it, and he is shattered.
Yeah.
But he spends the whole episode basically bound and determined to prove that what he believes, and he gets loud and he's like, unicorns are real, golly gosh. I'm like, oh, that's so adorable. And I feel that in a way because, who's to say what magic is?
Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart, Bell, Book, and Candle, end of the movie. Great scene. Who's to say what magic is?
That's right.
Whether it's love, whether it's things we can't see, whether it's things we can't know. And when Grandpa was, I bring this, there is relevance. Just hang in there. When Grandpa was spinning away on us there at the end, and he was seeing people. He was having conversations with people that weren't there.
Right.
He was seeing people out, and he is on like the 7th floor of the hospital, as I recall, and he's seeing people outside his window of his hospital room. And to you and I, there's nobody there.
Right.
to the common, there's probably not somebody there, but just they're 10% of your brain, maybe. Maybe it's just me. Who's to really say there's not somebody there?
Right.
Maybe he's seeing. Obviously he's seeing things we're not, but
right. But is there a point that it's a hallucination, or is there another factor that, like, the older you get, the more your brain develops to use more than just the 15% that it uses your whole life? Therefore, you're able to perceive a different dimension.
Who's to say what magic is?
It's really just mostly deception, but.
Can I prove that unicorns aren't real? Can I prove that there's places out there we haven't been to and things we haven't seen?
Right.
Can I prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that magic doesn't have a way of protecting itself from normal human eyes?
Right. For some reason, this is really reminding me, I think it's the end of Despicable Me 3, where the youngest girl is on the hunt for a unicorn the whole entire movie, and by the end of it, she puts a bunch of gummy stuff to, find it, and you get it to eat. And sure enough, a one-horned baby goat comes up, and so she freaks out, and she's like, a unicorn! And the one sister's like, I'm not going to tell her. Needless to say, it's in the fourth movie, which I'd love to see, but...
Why ruin it?
Yeah.
Why ruin that magic before you have to?
That's right.
Why... Let people be children for as long as they can, because once the shine's off the apple, you can't do anything but get a new apple.
Yep.
And
it's kind of hard to make kids like that. Keep paying for them. Just have one every 10 years, that way you can keep up the fun.
It's expensive. I know that I would love nothing better than to be able to protect their childlike sense of make believe.
Right. And
one of the things that always drove me crazy is, when you're in the movie business, let's say you get assigned, you just get typecast into playing one particular type of role. And you do nothing but. You just don't have a career outside of this, and it's like, I'm tired of doing these types of movies all the time. Like, I need to stretch my acting muscles or whatever.
Pretty much 25% of child actors.
But like, I guess the thing that I always struggled with was, it's like, okay, well, and I'm going to use Henry Cavill as an example here, because
You using a Superman person?
He just come off of Justice League, right? Well, he was doing Justice League and the Mission Impossible movie that he was in at the same time.
Right.
And Mission Impossible came out after Justice League. Well, he's Superman in Justice League, but then in Mission Impossible, he's, spoiler alert, he's revealed as the villain of the movie.
Gotcha.
And it's like, okay, you go from playing
hero.
You go from playing a hero to being a villain.
Yeah, but I mean, is any of them really heroes in Justice League?
And well, that's not really the. Yeah, we did not get that beacon of hope that we were promised, because somebody kept making promises they didn't deliver on, and it's not relevant who, but. You just, especially as an impressionable child, you don't understand how Superman is suddenly...
The guy that these guys are chasing after.
Is suddenly the bad guy, the murderer, the man in the overcoat who... And I always made the assessment that if I ever broke out and became an actor, that it's like I would struggle with going from playing a good guy to playing a bad guy. It's like, I don't want children that come to watch these movies to suddenly be alarmed,
right?
Because they don't understand why I'm a superhero in this movie, and then I'm a bad guy in this movie.
Right.
And I don't want to harm their sense of make believe.
Right.
And
it's like Heath Ledger playing a good guy in a movie, whenever he was right in the middle of being Joker.
Yeah.
Being one of the best Jokers, if you will.
Yeah. But Pops is, and because I try to process all these things out, and it takes me having a conversation with, well, whoever, but my father most of the time.
Right.
And I'm like, I need you to explain this to me, because I've been on the hamster wheel all night, and I'm relating all this back to him. I know we're running short, just real quick, and then we'll wrap so you guys can get on about your day. But we're having this conversation, and I'm like, I don't understand, and I couldn't, and what do you do? Because it's like, your sense of make-believe is so damn important, even when you're an adult.
Right.
And it's like, I would worry that they would suffer for seeing one thing and then the other. And it's like, well, ultimate summary is you can't protect them forever.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's true.
Hard to grasp, but very true.
I don't know that I could do it. I would struggle with doing it if I became an actor. Like, I couldn't do good guy then immediately do bad guy. Like, I'd have to have a giant birth of things between.
Right.
And just find some way to distance those 2 points, so that the young kids were, who...
Kind of like Matthew Lillard. He's managed to play a little bit of everything.
Yeah, dude.
But, like, he's not known for just one type of character either.
Oh, yeah. I'll shout him out. I want to tell this story because I thought it was neat as hell. Like, somebody, he was at one of, like, the Scream conventions, or, horror movie conventions, something like that. And people who were there as fans of Scream also were there with their young daughter. Well, she is, I'm guessing, overstimulated by everything that's going on.
Right.
And she was nervous about meeting him. And in order to ease her distress, like, he used the Shaggy voice to talk to her, figuring that she would recognize him from that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, I didn't watch the clip, so I don't know what the end result of trying that was, but the fact that he made the effort to find a gentler way to engage with her and maybe ease her discomfort. Quentin Tarantino doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Matthew Lillard, I'm sure he's a great man, and I will shout him out here because that's good. That's good character.
Oh, yeah.
I like that story about you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe we can get him on the channel. Forget about Hugh Matthew, come on.
Watch your mouth. Don't say
We'll
that
never
loud.
forget about Hugh Jackman. I'm sorry. Sorry, Mike. And I don't know, that was a great story, and I appreciated that, and I hear nothing but stories like that about Matthew Lillard.
I've never heard background stories as far as the way he acts, but I wouldn't expect anything less.
Like, and I gotta believe that if he, if he's on a set where he, like he's in a horror movie, or he's the villain or whatever, and there are young children on set with him, like, as much as you gotta play a character, like, he would do everything he could when he wasn't in character to be warm and be comforting,
Inviting, if you will.
Inviting, and to make sure that
connection as possible between him and his fans.
Yeah, that basically the children involved in these projects are not traumatized by the make-believe.
Right.
But let's wrap. We're running a little long again. Watch out for us tomorrow. Probably be later in the evening, after 6 sometime, and we will get that.
Did I say 6, 7?
Hey! This guy.
You know that's right.
We will see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Into the Uncharted Redux coming at you.
Till next time.
Later.